Hello, Tim from Fair Play Now on the 7th of December 2022. Do you ever get that feeling that it's basically 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, or even 1 step forward, 2 steps back? Just when you think we're making a bit of headway, a bit of bad news comes to bite you in the bum, and there's a couple of bad bits of news to relate and comment on. First of all, you might recall, I think it was last Friday, I was talking about the baby called Will in New Zealand who is needing a heart operation. He's only 4 months old and the parents want him to get untreated blood because he's probably going to need blood in the during the operation, but the authorities won't let that happen, and in fact they're threatening to take Will away from the parents and everything. So a court case was had today, I believe it was, and sadly the judge has ruled against the parents and in favour of the state. So a very, very disappointing result, although that is going to be appealed. And there is a bit of good news there because it was actually admitted in court that treated blood does contain remnants of Romeo, Mike, November, Alpha, that stuff, which is something that the authorities, the powers that shouldn't be, have, well, not only not admitted, but strenuously denied. So it is now on record in a court that that has been admitted to. So in some ways, a move in the right direction has been made. And surely during the appeal, the defence can be made that, well, you've just admitted that treated blood has this stuff in it, and therefore why are you expecting our baby to receive treated blood? So that they are going to make moves to strongly and vigorously appeal against this ridiculous decision. There is a video by Reignite Freedom. You might have seen the blonde lady who seems to be the front woman for that organisation. She's got a video. I'll leave it in the link in the description box below, link to that. And they are going to do an appeal. They want to find basically an awake paediatric surgeon, heart surgeon for baby Will, who's willing to go and do the operation in a country that does allow parents to choose between treated and untreated blood. So she explains it more in her video, and if you can help, or if you can offer money to the cause, if you're very wealthy or somebody who's really wealthy, because they're going to need a lot of money to facilitate all of this stuff and to do the appeal and everything, I guess. There is an email under her video, Reignite Freedom's video, to let you get in touch with them. So yeah, not the best result, but there are some positives that have come out of that. Another bit of bad news is the government here in the UK have approved a certain treatment that starts with PF, apparently a more mild or weaker solution of it for 6 month to 4-year-old kids, which is an absolutely unbelievable decision, especially when there's another government report which says, well, this is actually from the Office of National Statistics, which have concluded that okay, we're talking about older children, but they are 137 times more likely to die if they've had a treatment as opposed to if they haven't had a treatment. So when you consider this whole thing is to do with lurgy, which really pretty much all children stand almost no chance of dying from anyway, and then we're talking about a treatment where basically lots of kids are dying of it, and now this idiotic government, the powers that shouldn't be, have approved this treatment for this much lower age group. I just do not know where they're coming from with this. Well, I can guess where they are coming from. Really, they're just sort of plain evil, I suppose, is the best way to describe it. But an absolutely disgusting manoeuvre, decision, which is flying in the face of the evidence, really, all of the facts, all of the evidence. And there is a lot of evidence to suggest that the whole lurgy narrative is collapsing almost in free fall now, isn't it? And there's another video for you to watch. This time it's from GB News, and they're talking about really how the narrative really is collapsing, how more and more people out there do seem to be waking up. The mass formation, whatever you want to call it, seems to be wearing off, and people are waking up to the fact that lockdowns were a complete and utter nonsense. And I don't think it'll be that long before they realise that other things were a complete and utter nonsense and waste of time as well. Not only a complete and utter waste of time, but worse than that as well. So really, I'm thinking now that any future lockdowns are very unlikely. It may well be tried again at some point in the future. Some lurgy will supposedly pop up again, and then they'll lock down and do all the mandates and everything again. But I don't think that is going to happen. That won't be tried again for probably a good few decades now. So it'll be beyond the time that I'll have passed away, and probably beyond many people watching this, their time as well. So that is my gut feeling. We haven't seen anything cropping up as yet this year, and we're a week into December now. If they were going to try on anything and future nonsense, they'd have probably started ramping things up by now. But like I say, that's just my gut feeling, and who knows what's going to happen. My instinct is they're changing tack, and they're going to go over to other agendas, which they seem to have done this year in 2022 anyway. The whole thing in Ukraine, and all this talk about climate lockdowns, because let's face it, all of these crazy authoritarian people, the lockdowns were their sort of best dreams come true, weren't they? They loved any little petty tyrant out there, whether they're in government or whether they're your sort of neighbour next door who are phoning the police if you're sort of going out more than your allotted time each day. They were, they're on the phone. All of these petty tyrants, authoritarian people, just showed their true colours, and they're not going to take kindly to not having that power anymore. So they're probably going to try on other things, like we're seeing with this Oxford thing, for instance. Climate lockdowns, that's what some of these crazy people are talking about now. And just like the lurgy nonsense, we're going to call them out and tell them thank you, but no, in no uncertain terms. as far as any other type of lockdown or restriction is concerned, whether it's to do with climate or anything else. So that would be my message to these types of people who seem to have taken it upon themselves to tell us what we should and shouldn't be doing. So just looking at a couple of other things here, I've got a lot to say today, so I've had to make a little bit of a list. Some good bits of news, like I say, that GB News article where they talk about the narrative collapsing, that's a bit of a feel-good factor there as well. But apparently the Argentinian vice president, I think she is, Cristina Kirchner, well, she has apparently just been found guilty of corruption and been sentenced to 6 years in prison, and then she is going to be barred from ever holding any kind of public office ever again. So that is definitely a step in the right direction. And I would say Ardern, Macron, Trudeau, Biden, Hancock, Johnson, Whitty, Valence, etc., etc. Are you watching, Dan Andrews? Are you watching? Because I would put a good bit of money on that is going to be your eventual fate as well, and you certainly deserve it. So let's just hope that this Cristina Kirchner's sentencing is the start of many more such verdicts to be handed down to all of these disgusting, corrupt, horrible people that we've had to endure over these last 3 years. So a very good bit of news there, and an example of some courts around the world are getting things right, unlike the one in New Zealand. And another place where the courts have got it right is in Greece. Apparently, you know how about this time last year they were talking about how in the UK NHS people were going to have to well, basically possibly lose their jobs if they didn't have a certain treatment, and then the government had to go back on that, probably because 100,000 of them took to the streets along with many other people, including me, to tell the government in no uncertain terms that no thank you, we're not having that. And it seems that in Greece they did manage to bring such a mandate in, and a lot of people, healthcare professionals who refused the treatment, were actually sort of sent packing, lost their jobs. Well, apparently a Greek court ruled that that was unlawful, and the government have now finally gone back on that decision, and they are going to allow any untreated healthcare professionals back into healthcare jobs as from the 1st of January. So in the next 3 weeks, I guess that's going to be. So a good bit of news there. And any Greek health professional who, well, if they want to, many probably won't want to, but if they want to, they can return to their old jobs there. So another step in the right direction there. So just one last thing, this event I went to on the 26th of November in Burgess Hill, the Conversation 3, I've put videos up on my website, my must-see videos section, and another one for you. I've just finished it last night and got it on there, so it'll be fairplaynow.net/must. Just go in there, hit the big red button, and then you'll go through to the Rumble channel, and you can sort of see the video there. And it's actually a lady called Anna de Busseret. I know many people watching this have probably heard of her. You might not have heard of her if you're not in this country, but she's a lawyer, proper trained lawyer, and she, in her speech, she goes on about how a lot of these politicians, when they're kind of coming up with these mandates, don't actually know the law and don't know they're breaking the law when they come up with these mandates and what have you. So she was pointing to some resources that she's got, I guess on her website or wherever it is, that there's various human rights laws in place that can be used in your defence if this kind of nonsense happens again. You know, if people do decide on more lockdowns and more climate lockdowns or anything like that, you can just sort of say, well, sorry, here's the law here. You know, it says that what you're doing is unlawful. So get lost, basically. And that made my ears prick up in that part of her speech. But all of her speech, which is about 20 minutes long, is very interesting. And I'm going to try and investigate what she was saying in more detail sort of later on. But I thought I'd just tell you about that. Quite an exciting thing that she was talking about there, and something definitely worth looking into. So I've been going on quite a long time with this, so I'm going to wrap this up. So there's going to be 3 videos for you to watch. The Anna Dubusseret one, which will be on my website, but I'll leave a link to my website in the description box below. And then there's the GB News video and also the Reignite appeal video about baby Will, which will be in the description box below here as well. So all 3 of those will be there. Let you go and check those out, and I'll be back tomorrow. Tim from Fair Play Now, thanks for watching.